Good afternoon. This is Jeff Agron. I'm the Director of Operations for the Mussar Institute. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar series 2018, Calming the Storm, Mussar Practices for the Heart and Soul in Troubling Times. Today is our third webinar in the series. Today is March 25th, 2018. Today's presenter is Edith Raphael Brotman. And the topic is Calming the Storm Through Mussar Yoga, Experiencing Equanimity and Trust in the Body. And Edith is the author of the book Mussar Yoga, which you can see at the bottom of the slide here, blending an ancient Jewish spiritual practice with yoga to transform body and soul. A little bit more about Edith. She is a Wexner Heritage alum. She is an experienced educator and a highly trained yoga teacher who has a passion about finding, creating, and sharing meaningful spiritual connections to Judaism. She's a recipient of the Dorbrecht Grant for Judaic Yoga and was named one of Baltimore's top yoga teachers. She's taught at various Mussar Institute programs and events, including the Practice Retreat. Edith has assumed many lay leadership positions at Baltimore Hebrew Congregation. In addition, she has been a teacher of spirituality for many years, leading Mussar Yoga workshops that are based on her book, Mussar Yoga. Today's webinar, of course, is free and open to the public. Feel free to share this with your friends and others who may be interested in the topic. In addition, you'll be receiving a link to today's recording. For those of you who are on the webinar, you'll get a link. Those who registered but were unable to be on live will also receive a link. In addition, the webinar will be posted to our YouTube channel and to our website within the next few days. During today's webinar, you will all be able to see and hear Edith, but she will not be able to see you, nor will you be able to see and hear each other. Therefore, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A box that you see in your control panel for Zoom. Please put your questions there. She will either answer them as she sees them, or she will answer them in the question and answer session at the end of our time today, which will be about the last 10-12 minutes. So if you have any questions, comments, or ideas that you would like to post for Edith, please be sure to put them in the Q&A box. In addition, Edith will be demonstrating yoga poses today, and if you would like to participate and do the poses along with her, please make sure that you have adequate room where you are on a yoga mat or some other place on the floor where you have room to do the poses, and you can also still see and hear the computer. Or you can just choose to listen and watch, and then later on when you get the recording, you can watch that and practice the poses. But the idea is that today is going to be an interactive session with some discussion and some teaching, but also demonstration of various yoga poses and a meditation. So now we are ready to actually start the session. So I am going to turn things over now to Edith, who will take it from here, and I will return at the very end with some more announcements and to help out with the questions and answers. So Edith, if you're ready, please go ahead. There may be a short gap as I turn off my video and Edith turns on hers and gets settled and starts the webinar. Thank you. And Edith, please take it away.
Of them. And I think I was also moved by the idea that in the yoga world, I was meeting a lot of Jewish people who would say, I feel this deep spirituality when I'm on my yoga mat that I don't feel, that I don't have that same experience in the context of my Jewish life. And so again, like that really motivated me to find a bridge between the two where we could feel both the deeply moving spirituality of the yoga practice in the context of Jewish life. So That's where Mussar Yoga came from. It was in the experience of Wexner that I first found Mussar about 10 years ago. I've been studying Mussar now for, it was 8 years ago in 2010. And it was interesting because it was, we were studying with Rabbi Elke Abrahamson, and she gave all of us an option. We could break into groups and we could all study one of 4 midot. And I don't recall all of them, but I do recall this, that of the 45 to 50 people in the room, that approximately 85% of us chose to work on equanimity, chose to work on menuhat haNefesh. And I think that speaks a lot. That's like about how important this trait is and how much people want to feel a sense of calmness and peace, despite the fact that it is, despite all other the evidence to the contrary, right? There seems to be a lot of turmoil and tension, but I think deeply we all crave and long for that calmness. So, so here we are, we're on this call, and we're going to be working with this trait. So one of the things that I love about yoga and why I think it's so helpful when we're studying Mussar is that that yoga gives us this physical feedback that's very accessible and very immediate. And we can really begin to feel some of the work that we need to do in the physical body. And what equanimity is a wonderful trait to work from the physical body. So we're going to move into that, into the physical body in just a moment. I want to start out by exploring some of the terms that we use for equanimity, and because we're going to use them when we're on our yoga mat. So the one that we commonly associate with equanimity in Mussar is menuhat haNefesh, this calmness of the soul. And it just sounds so lovely just to say it and to translate it. It kind of leaves us with the question, okay, how do we get that? How do we get there? Another Hebrew word for equanimity is histavut, right? The idea of sameness, the idea that we respond to both lovely things and challenging things in the same regard. That we don't let either one of them unsettle us or push us off of our balance, that we stay calm and unruffled, right? Whether it is whether we are being criticized or we are being praised, for example. And that can be really important especially if you're engaging in dialogue on social media, right? It can be rough out there. Maybe the best thing is not to do it, but if you do, it can be a nice reminder to have that histavut, that sameness, whether or not someone's liking what you're saying or vehemently disagreeing with you. Another lovely word a Hebrew word that I've come across that also references equanimity is it's one of the 13 attributes of God, right? Erech apayim. And Erech apayim, says Rabbi Rami Shapiro, is literally translated as long face, long face. So those of you that meditate, this might ring some kind of physical resonance with you, that when we're meditating and we begin to relax the muscles in our jaw, around our eyes, and the whole body as well, our face feels longer. There's a sense of just this peaceful heaviness that we feel. And so we can see this sense of equanimity, right? We feel it in a very physical way. So when we're sitting and we're meditating and perhaps a pleasant thought comes up, right? We have that long face, or if an unpleasant feeling comes up, that we also have that long face. We sit in when nothing changes. And so those are 3 different Hebrew terms that we can use to kind of inform us on how we can find more equanimity in our lives. So I'm just going to pause for a moment And I just don't know if anybody has we're happy to answer questions at the end, but if I need to, if anybody has a burning question, I don't see anything. Okay, great. So I'm going to also turn to a term that comes up in yoga that refers to equanimity. And the word is upeksha. And upeksha is, it is sometimes translated as indifference, but there's some controversy there. And particularly because we know that indifference is and it's often been called the near enemy of equanimity, right? It seems like indifference and equanimity are the same, but they're not. And so rather than interpreting upeksha as indifference, right, we can perhaps use the term to mean unruffled or unagitated, right? When we are encountering, there's a famous line of Patanjali about how we should practice upeksha with the wicked. And this is a really difficult, and I struggle with this and don't necessarily agree. Should we be unruffled or unagitated by the wicked? So that one is like, that's the one we have to work out. But certainly the idea is that we need to at least choose when we want to be agitated or unagitated. Something we should think about. We should really think about deeply before we decide to be agitated. And so through that, we really need to be mindful. And so one of the things that I say in my book, Mussar Yoga, which is here, it's a little shiny, but I say in my chapter on equanimity that equanimity demands that we become acutely interested in what is going on inside ourselves at any given moment. And I'll say that again. Equanimity demands that we become acutely interested in what's going on our insides of ourselves at any given moment. And so yoga and meditation, they teach us to become our inner witness. We begin to watch ourselves and understand what is happening, what emotions, what feelings are arising. And then we get to choose to respond rather than react in any given moment. So I want to share with you, we're going to get to the yoga in just a moment. I want to share with you, this is my favorite refrigerator magnet. Let's see if you can pull back a little bit. It says, peace, it does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise or trouble or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. So the idea is that equanimity can happen. We don't need to create an environment in which we feel peaceful. That in equanimity, we create that calmness of the heart in any given moment, no matter where we are. And I believe that this idea is also captured very, very well in the quote, in a passage of Viktor Frankl's famous book, right, Man's Search for Meaning. He echoes this and he says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Even though the conditions such as lack of sleep, insufficient food, and various mental stresses may suggest that the inmates were bound to react in certain ways. In the final analysis, it becomes clear that the sort of person the prisoner became was the result of an inner decision and not the result of camp influences alone. Fundamentally, therefore, any man, even under such circumstances, can decide what shall become of him, mentally and spiritually. He may retain his human dignity even in a concentration camp. So that's pointing this idea again to that it's not the external, it's what's going on inside of us. So we are going to work on equanimity through the physical body, through the techniques of yoga and some meditation today. And we're going to work on our equanimity in a number of ways. One is that I'd like to bring up a couple of other traits, a couple of other midot, which I think are connected to, that help us, that serve us as a means of creating and strengthening our calmness of our soul, of our sameness. So the first trait that I think is really important is that of courage, of omets lev, right? Of a courageous heart, a strong heart. There is that a lot of times when we move out of equanimity, we are doing so, I think, in a place of fear, right? We become afraid. And so our fear creates in us a reactivity, a sense of fight or flight. Our amygdala, that portion, that primitive portion of our brain that is focused on survival, is activated, it kicks in, and it makes us more aggressive. And I've noticed that in myself, that fear is my trigger. And I think it is for a lot of other people, that we feel there's a lot at stake. And when we feel there's a lot at stake, that we're again in this very fight or flight. We are not about standing still and being calm, or about running and getting, or sticking around and putting up our dukes, right? And getting ready to combat. So courage is a really important part. And it reminds me of the flip side of courage is, of course, fear. And there's a great quote from Gandhi. And Gandhi said, the opposite of hate is not love. Excuse me, the opposite of love is not hate. I'll say that again. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. So fear takes us to, again, it takes us to a place where it's much harder to find a sense of calmness, of being long-faced, of being the same, of being unruffable. So we're going to look at courage as our omets lev, as a quality that we want to work on. But the way that we're going to do that is by focusing in on the trait of trust, of bitachon, and this understanding that in order to get past our fear, we have to cultivate an enormous sense of trust that the world is going to work out in the way that it is meant to, in the way that it is in God's plan, and that we have limited levels of control. And so that it's hard for us to know it's hard for us to know and to be able to be aware of that path of how we're going to get to a place of peace and calm and love and kindness. And so part of us, we can do some of the work, but part of us is we're going to have to turn that over, right? We're going to have to hold us up into a higher place. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on some bitachon in just a short bit. And then finally, the last one is loving kindness, of chesed, that we are into cultivating our sense of equanimity, that we have to feel a deep sense of love and care for ourselves, a sense of worthiness of ourselves, and deep love and care for other people. So we'll end with a Hesed meditation. All right, all good? We're going to start out with a really important technique in yoga called Ujjayi breath. So this is just a breathing technique. You can be seated for this, and we'll do it when we're standing too, but we'll start with seated. So Ujjayi breath, it's spelled U-J-J-A-Y-I, and U-J-J-Y-I. And sometimes we can start out by imagining there's a constriction at the back of the throat in which the breath moves in and out. And what's interesting about this breath is the yogis have been doing it for a long time, but the scientists are starting to understand that Ujjayi breath, somehow this constriction in the throat as we breathe, has an impact on our vagus nerve. And our vagus nerve regulates how we respond to stress, how quickly we can reset the body after a stressful encounter. And so when we draw the breath, when we are doing ujjayi breath and affecting our vagus nerve. We're increasing our vagal tone, which is our ability to reset after stress. So it's a great, great practice for all of us. So how it works is we can start out by imagining that our hand in front of us is a mirror. And you can imagine if you're looking in the mirror and you want to fog up the mirror, you would go, right? You'd fog up the mirror. So try that a couple times. And now we're going to try it again, but this time we're going to close the mouth. So you're having that same constriction at the back of the throat, but with the mouth closed. So it's you can release the hand. You can try it a couple times yourself. Now, the exhalation is a little bit easier than the inhalation. So we want to do that same constriction at the back of the throat when we're breathing in. So you're going to pull the breath in through the nose to the back of the nasal cavity, and feeling that constriction in the throat. So we're not sniffing in. It's really subtle. I'll try to get closer. Sorry, I hope I'm not too close, but it's pretty subtle. It's rather than, and I kind of think a little bit of making the tongue concave, like a spoon, as you're pulling the air in. That sometimes can help. So it sounds, some people call it Darth Vader breath. It's breathing in. Or ocean breath, it sounds like the ocean. Probably a little more peaceful if you think of it as the ocean. Like waves on the shore. So let's practice that breath for a moment. Breathing in and breathing out. Be finding our long face, our Arachapayam, as we do this. Okay. So you notice as you do that, you can begin to feel a sense of peacefulness, relaxation, when you really start to get the rhythm of that. And that's going to be really helpful to us as we move into the next part of our Mussar Yoga practice this morning. So I'm going to stand up, and I need to just put my feet a little bit. They got a little cold sitting here because I'm in my basement. We're going to move into doing some half sun salutes. So I'm going to stand up and walk over to the mat. And I'm going to have to talk a little louder. I hope hope you can all hear me. I'm going to stand a little bit to the back of the mat. We're going to work on some sun salutes. And I use the sun salutes to really work on the sense of bitachon. Okay? Working on bitachon, a sense of surrender, of letting go, of trusting, right? And so we start with the arms up. And we're going to come back to this arm lifting up. Once you lift your arms up, and I know you can't see my hands. Sorry, but they're just reaching up. The fingertips are reaching higher. And as we're reaching up, you can start to feel the weight. The arms are heavy. They're heavy. There's a heaviness to them. Honestly, I start to realize like why sometimes torture is to have people's arms uplifted. It's very uncomfortable. And so we just kind of recognize that. Like we're not holding them here that long, but just for a little bit. And really realizing the weight of them, we lift the heart up, right? And as we lift the heart up and we're holding the heaviness of our arms, we can begin to call upon, right, what we want, however we call upon that God or whatever word, the Hashem, right? Or the mystery, the thing that we don't totally understand, and to call upon this sense of trust. Like this is heaviness. This all is heaviness, and I cannot hold this all the time. Can't stay here forever. And so we deep breath in, And then slowly, as we lift the heart up, begin to open the arms out to the side and fold forward and release and lower down. And I just feel the sense of surrender, of letting go. And you can soften in the knees here, and I'll go to the side and bend my knees and lift my tailbone up, drop my head down, maybe bring my hands to opposite elbows. And I just feel the sense of letting go, of surrender. So we'll do that again. Let's do that again. Come back up. I'll do from the side, reaching the arms up, lifting up, and recognizing this heaviness. And then releasing, and maybe sometimes you can bring the hands to heart center and just lower down too, and just sort of that feeling of letting go, of trust. And from here, we can bring our hands to our shins, pardon my hair, lengthening the spine, shifting the weight forward, and then folding again. And each time we fold, we feel a release, an ease, a sense of trust. And then slowly we come back up, reaching the arms up overhead, lifting up, and then releasing the hands back down. So let's just try that again. We'll do it all together, right? Reaching the arms up. Maybe hold them here for a few moments, just as we breathe, and you can begin to connect in that Ujjayi breath. And then lifting up again. And exhaling and folding forward, surrendering and letting go. Inhaling, bringing your hands to your shins, lengthening the spine. And exhale, folding again. Inhale, Ujjayi breath, come all the way up, lift up. And then exhale, lower the hands down by your side. All right. So that is our working on our bitachon, that sense of trust, and it's really lovely. And so I'm just offering you today options for you don't have to do a whole yoga class, or if you go to a yoga class and you're doing these sun salutes, you can incorporate that into your practice of finding that sense of surrender, of looking up as you reach up, and then as you lower down, you know, maybe even saying to yourself, bitachon, surrender. I'm letting go. I'm trusting. Nice. So, okay. So now we come to the real heart of our work on equanimity, of menuhat, haNefesh. And so when we think about what a visualization of what we want to be as practitioners of Mussar, what we want to be in this world, and I think of the expression being the calm at the center of the storm. Being the calm at the center of the storm, right? The storm is all around you, but you're in the center, and you look up and the sky is blue, and the sun is shining, and it's really a beautiful place to be. Then how do we get there? How do you break through the wall of the storm to get yourself in there? And so one of the things that yoga affords us to do is to build a storm, is to actually artificially create a storm. You don't have to go out there and you don't have to get on social media and start arguing with people to create your storm, right? You can build the storm in your body, which I think is a better way to do it. Build that storm and then begin to practice staying calm and noticing how that Ujjayi breath, right, is going to help you, with that calmness. So I'm going to teach you a couple ways to build a storm. Now, this is going to be different for different people, because what we're really doing is we're pushing ourselves. We're going to create some heat in the body. Just like a hurricane requires heat there's some heat is involved. We're going to build some heat in our body. It's going to create a storm. And then we're going to use our breath. Use our breath and our sense of bitachon, of trust, right, to stay calm through that. So one option for you, we already did one, is you can stand for a while with your arms lifted up, right? You can hold your arms here for a while and feel the storm begin, all right? And what we want to do is, when we start to feel the heat begin to build, is to stay, right? Because we can't, in life, we can't always run away from, I mean, that's the best thing to do, is if you're in the middle of a storm, is to leave, right? I always tell you that. But if you can't, right? You have to know how to get yourself through the storm to find the center. So that's one option, is to keep the arms lifted. The other way that I often do when I'm teaching is to put a lot of weight into the quad muscle, the thighs. And there's different ways of doing that. So I'm going to show you a couple. And again, this is going to depend on you and your practice, and you know your own body. So this is part of being that inner witness. You have to know what's the right thing for you. So one option here is to, I'm going to start with coming into, you can come into a high lunge here and reach your arms up and then fold over that front leg. You're going to start to feel almost immediately some heat begin to build in the thigh. This is not easy to do. I've got my full upper body weight over the front leg, and I'm feeling already the storm begin to build. Now you can stay here, and then you can move, or you can move into, then coming into warrior two a little bit. But just because you're holding, you're keeping the knee bent, you're keeping the quad engaged, right? You're going to start finding that heat begin to build. And so then as we stay, right, we can ask ourselves this lovely question that comes from Rabbi Rami Shapiro in his book, The Art of Loving Kindness, and his chapter on equanimity. He says, how much room can you make in your body, heart, mind, and life for reality as it is in this moment, right? So part of finding that equanimity is accepting things as they are in this moment, right? And just making that space. So as we breathe in and out, right, we're making space in our hearts and minds and bodies and life for things just as they are. And so if you're doing this along with me, you're feeling heat in that quad, I imagine, and maybe you're saying to yourself, I gotta come out, I gotta come out. Even fear starts to come up, right? When we're in a storm, it's fearful, it's scary, right? And so this is where you have to be your inner witness. Do you really need to come out? Are you really at risk, right? Or is this just a construct of the mind, right? Can I stay? And just begin to keep breathing here and making this space for life as it is. For reality as it is in this moment. So, so that's just a couple ideas. There's other another option to building. Let's give you one more option to build if you want to build a storm in your body. Is to, maybe that didn't work for you. So I come into Untitled Asana, which is also called awkward pose, and this pose in itself is a storm, right? You could just stay here and arms are up, you got the arms and the quads. Right here, you've got a storm, or you can take a twist and twist over and hang out here for a while, and then just kind of stay and then come up and keep the knees bent and twist to the other side and just keep, staying and switching for a little while. Maybe put a timer on and make yourself stay. Unless, of course, you don't want to injure yourself. So we want to build a storm, but we don't want to injure ourselves. So this is the safest one. Just arms straight up, holding, right? Feeling a storm emerge. One last option that I'll give you is to come to the wall. With your feet about, they're in front of your knees. And then slide down the wall and stay right here. A little bit tougher on the knees. I don't love this one so much if you have knee issues, but you'll feel a storm in 2 seconds, right? And then just committing to staying for a little bit as you practice your ujjayi breath, practice your bitachon, right? Practice your courage, your omatzlev, right? Breathing, and then coming back up. Good. All right. So, so the last part, the part that we're going to do to work on our skills, our strength, our muscles for equanimity is a Hesed meditation, or sometimes it's called metta meditation, but we're calling it Hesed meditation, which is of loving kindness. So for this meditation, you can sit comfortably, but you want to sit upright. And you want to feel the spine is long, right? The spine is long like an oak tree, you can imagine. And if you like, you can soften your eyes closed or just looking down so you're not distracted. You might begin to notice that there's some tension that you're holding in the shoulders or the jaw. So you're setting yourself up for your long face, your Arachapayam. And as you sit, becoming aware of the fact that you're breathing. Noticing any sounds that are around you. Now being aware of yourself as this person who is engaged in the process of Mussar, engaged in the process of self-discovery and self-improvement. And with this sense of yourself as a person on this journey, cultivating a sense of your goodness, of your worthiness. And holding an image of yourself in your mind's eye. Maybe you've done a mitzvah for someone. When you've done a mitzvah, you can bring that to mind. Or when you were a young child. Feeling in your heart a sense of your own worthiness and goodness. And then wishing for yourself, may I be safe. May I be happy. May I know peace. May I be free from unnecessary suffering. Maybe there's one of those in particular you want to mentally massage into your heart. Or just feel all of them surrounding you. Warmth, it's a warm embrace. And now, bringing to mind someone that you love very dearly. This is the first person usually who comes to mind as the one that you're meant to think of today. And holding an image of that person in your mind's eye. And wishing for them and silently saying, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you know peace. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. And again, maybe there's one of those that you want to repeat back to your loved one, or just envelop them in the warm embrace of all of those. And now bringing to your mind's eye an image of someone that you don't know very well, that you don't have strong feelings for either way, in any way. This could be somebody who you know casually, barely know at all. You just see them but don't know their name. It could be the barista that serves you your coffee. It could be the person who delivers your mail, or a colleague down the hallway with whom you wave to now and then. And bringing an image of this person to your mind's eye. And wishing to them, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you know peace. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. Noticing again that you're breathing, that you're here, that you're letting go of tension in the face, the jaw, around the eyes. Now bringing to mind someone with whom you have a challenging relationship. This could be someone that you actually know, like in real life, or somebody that you are aware of through media or some other means. Someone with whom you have a challenging relationship. And holding an image of that person in your mind's eye. And wishing to them, may you be safe. May you be happy, truly happy. May you know peace. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. And holding those thoughts for a few moments. Now, turning your attention to a larger group of people, maybe sending it somewhere in the world that specifically needs some chesed, place that is suffering, and sending to them, to faces unknown, perhaps even. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you know peace. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. Again, noticing that you're breathing and relaxing in the jaw. In the eyes, mouth. And finally coming back and thinking as broadly as you can, all sentient beings, all beings that are aware of their existence, and wishing for them, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you know peace. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. And may we all be safe. May we all be happy. May we all know peace. And may we all be free from unnecessary suffering. So that's our Hesed meditation that also I think, or not that I think, but I feel like that is really important practice that helps us, again, maintain some equanimity so that we are less likely to be filled with fear and anger at other people, that we are able to send even the people that we have challenging relationships with, are people that we don't even know, that we send them our deepest, most sincere wishes for good things. I will end here, and we've got right on time. We have 10 minutes for questions or comments or anything that's on your mind that you want to share. So I open it up. And thank you all for coming. And
Thank you all. Thank you, Edith, for time passed so quickly. I feel like we certainly could have used much more time, but maybe that's for later. So I do see one question. Are you comfortable using Sanskrit in your Mussar classes?
Sure. I don't. I'm trying to think. I often, like, so for example, I'll use, sure, I use Sanskrit certainly sometimes for the pose names, but I will always end with namaste, because I think that namaste really reflects like a Jewish understanding of the soul, which is that there's the namaste means the light in me, or the divine in me honors the divine, the light in you. And that's really how we understand like the soul and the nefesh, like the idea that this is a piece of the divine. So I always end that way. Yeah. So I'm not averse to using Sanskrit. I'm not worried about or afraid. Does that answer your question?
I think that answers the question. Somebody else had asked earlier on, or commented earlier on, if it would be possible for some of the Hebrew phrases that you use to maybe write them out. If you want to write them out and send that to me, I'll email it to people, at a later time. So if you want to, they actually ask for the Hebrew and transliteration. I don't know if you're able to do that, but
I'm not sure I can do the transliteration.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I might be able to insert the Hebrew. So then we had another question of Jenya also commented. She was the one who asked about the Sanskrit. She says that she ends with Shanti Shalom Amen. So
yeah. Yep. Shanti means peace in Sanskrit. Shalom, right, means peace. And yeah, beautiful.
And Bonnie Kaplan commented, "Thank you for your message. I will take it with me to my weekly gentle yoga class and will begin to say namaste without fear of leaving my culture." So Elizabeth Eastman asked a question. I noticed that you suggested we include wanting happiness in the meditation. I was thinking of using wanting joy or health maybe instead. What are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. I will shift around. It's not rigid what I use in my chesed. So I often think about using health, or joy. Those are all good ones. I think you can sort of fill in with what you want in there and what you want for yourself, and what you want for the people that you love. I think whatever you choose for you, you want to wish that consistently all along, right? That's the only thing I would say is, so whatever you're wishing for yourself and for your loved ones, right, that goes across the board. So we don't change it up when we get to the people we have challenging relationship with. Yeah.
That's great. Elizabeth, by the way, is the one who helped put this whole series together and helped me organize it. So thanks.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Great job. Great idea.
For helping with this. So we have a few minutes left. So let's see.
So Marnie asked about necessary suffering. And so
right.
just to clarify, I did say unnecessary suffering. Right, I hear you, Bonnie, right. So flipping it around, and the idea, is there such a thing as necessary suffering? And that's, that would be a long conversation, but it's a great thought. So I guess we probably, maybe we'll do a whole nother session on that.
So let's see, there's another question. I don't know if you can see it if you scroll down, from Terry.
And Terry, during the lecture portion of my Mussar Yoga classes, students seem more inclined toward discussion than studio students do. They're used to a different kind of studentship. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. I hear ya. Yes. So any thoughts on how, I think that it is, I think in my book, I sort of talk about the idea that we really want to, we want to feel this on a, we want to kind of shut down parts of our brain. So we want to shut down part of our prefrontal cortex, which is our the part of the brain that's in discursive, analytical mode. And we want to be fully present. In order to do that, we have to just be able in a place of absorbing rather than, again, the discursive. And so maybe if you can explain it to them in those terms, you can sort of look up, there's a little bit of the actual, how the brain works. And so that sometimes that we can get too caught up in the rationality, the rational thinking of it. And I think that leads us away from the practice of yoga is about feeling that experience in your body. Does that help, Terry?
So I think it's interesting that people are asking these questions, not just as people who are doing Mussar Yoga, but a number of them seem to be actually leaders or teachers of Mussar Yoga courses, which is very interesting. Yeah. So there's some other questions there, yes, Melissa.
From my friend Melissa. Yes. Hi, Melissa. Is there a yoga pose you'd recommend for cultivating balance? Yes, that's a great question. Since equanimity requires balance, right? That histavut, right? Or maybe that's sort of like that sameness, which is kind of a balance. And so there's lots of great balancing poses. So one of the ones that you can do is sort of the classic one is tree pose, where we start with I put socks on because my feet were cold. So you can start with your feet hip width apart, and then you can bring your foot anywhere. So right now my toes are on the mat. So if you're really, balance is really tricky for you, this is a great place to start. The knees open, we're getting a little bit of hip opening. And then you can, or put the foot right here, right next to the calf, or you want to hop over the knee, and you can place it on the inner thigh. And this is a nice balancing pose. That can be tricky. Another balancing pose, we were here when we were doing the lunge. Another one is just to slowly shift forward and lift out, coming into warrior 3, right? So that's another one. And then this is a nice one. You can use the wall here, right? Maybe so start with one hand too, and then slowly begin to find your balance if you're newer at yoga practice. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, can I show? Somebody wants to see my peace quote again. Here it is at peace. It does not mean, it's hard for me to read backwards because mine's kind of backwards. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, be a place where there is no noise or hard work. But it means to be in the midst of all those things and still be calm in your heart, right? I'm reading it backwards and without my reading glasses, so. Yeah. Thoughts on oming in class? You know, I'm fine with oming. It's in the word shalom. If you want to add the shalom part and then you know, it really depends on your students, right? It's like what they're comfortable with. And so I don't think that om is a concept or term that has any, that would be in any way in contradiction to any Jewish values or ideas. So.
There was one more question. I think we have time for one more from Eliana.
Yes. Recommendations on cultivating bitachon, trust, other than feeling a sense of letting go and heaviness of the arms. Yes. So I have cultivating in Mussar. So Eliana, I think of the story of that's often told both in yoga and it's also in Jewish circles too. The story about the farmer who's he and his son have a horse, and one day so their horse runs off and all the neighbors come around and go, oh, good luck, bad luck, who knows, or the good luck, oh, what terrible luck, and the farmer says, oh, good luck, bad luck, who knows, right? And then the next day, the stallion comes back and he's leading a whole bunch of wild horses that they are able to trap, and all the neighbors come around and go, oh, you know, what good luck? And the farmer says, good luck, bad luck, who knows? This is, and the story continues to go on, and sort of this idea that we don't know, right? We cannot know. Your horse runs off. It seems like terrible, terrible thing has happened. But we don't know what the next part of the story is, really only, and we don't have that vision. Our vision's limited. And so sometimes I do a twist. I can't, as much as I want to see what's behind the back of my head, I can keep twisting around. I still can't see what's back there, no matter what. Our vision's limited, and that's kind of another way that I think about practicing our bitachon. But thanks, great question.
Great, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We do like to start and end on time as much as possible. I'd like to thank Edith today for really a fascinating webinar. I know people may have more questions. I don't know if you want to give your email address for people if they want to email you questions.
Sure, yes. You can email me at, I guess the easiest way is Mussar Yoga Journey. So it's mussaryogajourney@gmail.com.
Great, thank you. That's wonderful. So for people, I know there might have been people, students of yours in the Baltimore area on there. If you'd like to sign up on our site, mussarinstitute.org, to get our emails and get more information on other webinars that we're doing. I'll also mention that if you are new to Mussar and looking to do more, we do have an introductory course called Taste of Mussar, which you can do individually on your own at your own pace, or we are doing groups online that meet face-to-face like this by Zoom, people all over the country. So you can go to our website again, /courses, to find out more there. We also have a practice retreat coming up in St. Louis. That's May 6th through 9th, and registration is open for that. You can see the information. Just go to our homepage. And of course, these webinars are free, and we do them for the greater community. We post the recordings on our YouTube channel for the whole world to see. Everyone who's on here now and those who signed up but couldn't be on will get a link very shortly. But you can also go to our YouTube page and see all of our webinars there. But if you'd like to donate to help us defray the cost of presenting these webinars, you can go to our homepage /donate, or just go to the homepage and there's a donate button there. And we greatly appreciate all the support. And our next webinar is going to be Sunday, April 29th. Note the different time highlighted in yellow. It's in the evening. It's with Rabbi Chaim Safran, who will be doing the art of internalizing through Mussar chanting. So we've moved from yoga into chanting, and maybe people can do the two together, working together. So that will be our next one. I'd like to thank everybody. Thank Edith. I'd like to wish everybody a healthy and joyous and liberating Pesach, Passover, coming up in less than a week. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day. Take care. Bye, Edith. Thank you.
Thank you.